Good morning, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me Show. This one is an extended article I've been working on for a while. This really dives into Joe Biden's failure as not just a president, not just as a senator or a career 40-year plus politician, but truly as a human being. We're going to go over it together. Hang tight. This should be a good one. One you should share because a lot of people don't know these things, but you are going to be in the know after this.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more f***ed up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends.
Still Point, STIILPOINT, the Don't Unfriend Me band. Give them a listen on iTunes. I want to welcome the Dumb News followers who are going to be listening to this on the podcast, and also the people who are going to be watching it across the Dumb Network. You can find that at thedumbshow.com. Let's get into it. We've got a lot to cover, and this isn't going to get any shorter. Well, if I mess up like that, let's see if I can do this in one take. This isn't going to get any shorter, so with no further ado, let's get going. Bless me, this is a lot. Joe Biden's political paradoxes and an in-depth analysis of contradictory policies. The political career of Joe Biden, characterized by its duration and breadth across pivotal moments in American history, also presents a narrative of profound contradictions. These inconsistencies are not minor policy shifts, but fundamental reversals that raise questions about the core convictions driven and driving his decisions. Whether it's his stance on major issues like immigration, racial injustice, foreign policy, or energy, Biden seems to transform his viewpoints based on the prevailing political winds. This adaptive strategy, while politically expedient, undermines trust in his leadership, portraying him as a chameleon of sorts who changes color to suit the environment rather than standing firm on a set of unshakable beliefs. Such a pattern of leadership is especially stark when juxtaposed against leaders who, for better or worse, are known for their steadfastness. Abortion policy, a shift from pro-life to pro-choice, and a champion. In the beginning, Biden appeared somewhat conservative on the issue of abortion. He supported the Hyde Amendment, and it was a legislative bloc preventing federal funding for abortions, except in an extreme circumstance, reflecting a more pro-life stance. Fast forward to his 2020 presidential campaign, and suddenly Biden is advocating for the repeal of the very amendment he long supported. This dramatic pivot seems less about personal evolution and more about aligning with the increasingly liberal base of the Democratic Party. It raises questions. Does Biden change his policy beliefs based on personal conviction, or is he swayed by the tides of political expediency? I wonder. Criminal justice. From the architect of mass incarceration to reformer. As a senator, Biden was a key architect of the 1994 crime bill, which many critics argue led to an era of mass incarceration, particularly impacting African American communities. His role in crafting such draconian measures contrasts sharply with his more recent image as a reformer looking to undo the injustices of past legislation. This stark reversal might be seen as a convenient political recalibration rather than a genuine reformation of belief, especially given the changing national dialogue around policing and justice. How about racial integration and busing? A flip-flop on school integration. In the 1970s, Biden staunchly opposed busing, a tool designed to achieve integration in public schools, claiming it was a liberal train wreck. Yet decades later, he claims to champion racial equality and justice. This flip-flop is particularly galling because it suggests a willingness to trade deeply impactful social positions for political gain once again, altering his stance as the party's platform shift under the feet of its constituents. Foreign policy and war, inconsistent views on military intervention. Biden's foreign policy is characterized by inconsistency. He voted for the Iraq War in 2002, citing the need to confront Saddam Hussein, only to later criticize his own decision as a mistake once the war became broadly unpopular. This pattern of initial support for military action followed by retrospective critique does not inspire confidence. It suggests a lack of foresight and an over-reliance on prevailing public opinion rather than steadfast, principled decision-making. Economic policy, a friend to banks, then a consumer protector. Initially, Biden's economic policies favored large banks, evident from his support for the Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention Act and Consumer Protection Act, which made it harder for individuals to file for bankruptcy. Post-2008 financial crisis, however, he shifted to support consumer protection measures like the Dodd-Frank Act. This swing from pro-bank to pro-consumer raises questions about his commitment to either cause, portraying him as a politician who tailors his convictions to the mood of the electorate or the needs of his donors. Starting to see a pattern here. Environmental policy, green advocate or fossil fuel friend? Well, it's hard to tell. Biden's environmental record is puzzling. While he introduced one of the first climate change bills in Congress, his voting record includes multiple instances of supporting the fossil fuel industry. His current ambitious climate plans contrast sharply with the past actions, highlighting a potential disconnect once again between past political convenience and current environmental enthusiasm. Let's go ahead and take something more current. How about Israel and foreign relations? It's a wavering alliance. Biden's relationship with Israel exemplifies his inconsistent foreign policy stance. As a young senator, he was a staunch supporter of Israel, even visiting several times. However, during his vice presidency under Obama, the administration's approach cooled, notably culminating in the controversial Iran nuclear deal, which effectively empowered Israel's adversary by unfreezing Iranian assets and could potentially fund state-sponsored terrorism. Potentially. Recently, however, in light of renewed conflicts involving Israel, Biden has attempted to portray himself as a defender of the Israeli state once more. This back-and-forth stance may seem like diplomatic flexibility, but comes off as a wavering commitment to allies, considering he also stopped the flow of arms yesterday. Border security, an oscillating approach. Biden's approach to border security and immigration has seen significant shifts, particularly evident when comparing his vice presidential tenure to his presidential campaign promises and actions. Under the Obama administration, deportations reached historically high levels, earning President Obama the moniker deporter-in-chief, among other things. A policy, however, Biden supported. During his 2020 campaign, though, Biden criticized the Trump administration's strict immigration policies and promised more humane treatment of immigrants and asylum seekers. Well, maybe there won't be any more cages that they created. Yet upon assuming office, Biden has faced criticism from both ends of the political spectrum, continuing the use of Title 42 expulsions due to COVID-19 and wavering on his commitment to raise the refugee cap and 96 pieces of legislation that secured the border he drew the red line through. LGBTQ support, a tactical evolution in indecisiveness. Initially, Biden's record was not particularly progressive on LGBTQ issues, and neither was the entire Democrat Party, until it was politically advantageous. As a senator, he supported Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the military in the Defense of Marriage Act, which barred federal recognition of same-sex marriages. However, his public stance evolved significantly over time. Yet again, by the time he was vice president, he preempted President Obama by publicly supporting same-sex marriage in 2012, which forced the administration's hand to also support the issue publicly, something they had no intention of doing. This shift, while celebrated as a pivotal moment for LGBTQ rights, also highlights the pattern of adapting beliefs according to the prevailing political currents rather than leading with them. Let's go ahead and talk about the Afghanistan withdrawal. Support turned to critique. Biden's handling of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan is a recent example of his contradictory approaches. Initially, he supported Trump's decision to negotiate with the Taliban and agreed with the idea of withdrawing American troops. However, when the execution of the withdrawal led to chaotic scenes at Kabul airport and a swift takeover by the Taliban and 13 veterans dead, Biden faced severe criticism. His administration then placed partial blame on the Trump administration, of course, for the manner in which the agreements had been made with the Taliban, shifting his stance from agreement on withdrawal to criticism of its planning and implementation. I wonder if Donald Trump said that they would run security at the airport. You know, a terrorist group. I didn't read that in the plan. Must have been Joe Biden. Energy independence, fluctuating energy policies. Biden's stance on energy policies has also been marked by more inconsistency. He has historically supported significant fossil fuel projects and subsidies. During his 2020 campaign, he promised a bold approach to tackle climate change, including a move towards greater energy independence through renewable sources. However, critics and myself point out that his administration continues to approve new oil and gas drilling permits at a rate that contradicts his campaign promises about tackling climate change, and we're fine with that. But this ongoing support for fossil fuel interests undercuts his image as a leader on climate action, revealing a gap between rhetoric and action yet again. Additional concerns under Biden's leadership. I have left so much out that I could continue to write about this all day. But as we delve deeper into Joe Biden's presidency, the layers of concern stretch far beyond just that, and far beyond simple policy shifts. From economic turmoil to personal controversies, the list of contentious issues grows longer each day, challenging even the most ardent supporters to justify their continued allegiance. The economic landscape under Biden has been marred by significant instability. Inflation rates have surged, reaching highs not seen in decades, with food prices alone increasing by approximately 30%. This inflation spike has strained household budgets across the nation, exacerbating the financial hardships for many Americans. And yet he sits on TV and says his economy is fantastic, that he built back better, that Bidenomics is working. Well, where is this understanding and compassionate president we were told about, who's going to bring the middle and the left and the right together? I don't see it. Amidst these economic challenges, the administration has also grappled with interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve, intended to curb inflation, but also raising the cost of borrowing, affecting everything from mortgage rates to business loans. This monetary tightening is a direct response to inflationary pressures, but also poses risks of tipping the economy into a recession. I know, I use the R word. On a more personal front, Biden has faced a series of controversies that have cast a shadow over his leadership. Allegations surrounding his son, Hunter Biden, accusations of inappropriate behavior, including alleged sexual abuse of his daughter, and his history of inappropriate touching of women and children, have sparked significant public and media scrutiny. Let's not talk about the dog that went ahead and bit 19 Secret Service agents, or the cocaine that was found in the White House, who they couldn't figure out whose it was. These personal scandals not only distract from his administrative duties, but also undermine his credibility and the public's trust in his leadership, and the polls show that. Moreover, the administration's handling of criminal justice and public safety, particularly in Democrat-led cities, has come under fire. Homicide rates and violence have soared to alarming levels, partly due to progressive district attorneys' reluctance to prosecute certain crimes and a growing perception that law enforcement is hesitant to perform their duties for fear of retribution or prosecution. Speaking of prosecution, going after your political opponent, also something that bends the factors of law and order in this country. This has led to a crisis of confidence in public safety, disproportionately affecting Black communities and other minority populations who reside in these high crime areas or live in Golden Towers in New York, formally. The controversy over college debt forgiveness further complicates Biden's tenure. Promises made, promises not kept. After promising significant relief, the administration's effort to bypass congressional approval were struck down by the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, as unconstitutional, leading to accusations of overreach and broken promises, as he went ahead and did it anyway, finding obscure programs to go ahead and forgive millions in debt. In other words, to buy votes. Navigating this minefield of economic, personal, and societal issues, Biden's presidency illustrates a turbulent tenure marked by significant challenges and controversies. The administration's fluctuating policies and the numerous scandals have painted a picture of a presidency in constant reaction mode, often appearing to prioritize political expediency over consistent and effective governance. Lastly, the tale of 2024, a tale of two presidents. As the 2024 election horizon approaches, the American electorate is presented with a poignant narrative, a tale of two presidents. On one hand, there was a president who, regardless of public opinion, stuck to his guns, pursued his agenda with unwavering tenacity, and delivered on his promises with consistent transparency. Donald Trump, for all his divisiveness, presented a clear slate. Voters knew what they were endorsing or opposing. His policies, actions, and their implications were laid out in the open, making him a figure you could decisively support or reject. On the other hand, we have Joe Biden, whose career is riddled with shifts that align suspiciously with changing political tides rather than principled evolution. In fact, I've just given you stunning examples. From severe policy reversals on critical issues to adaptations that seem tailored to the moment's demands, Biden's political persona is shrouded in ambiguity. This malleability, while it may serve short-term political gains, fosters a perception of unreliability, painting him as a politician who might say anything to win the favor of the moment, but cannot be trusted to stand by those words when they are tested by time. The coming election, thus, is not just a choice between two individuals, but a decision between two styles of leadership, one that is forthright and predictable, possibly to a fault, and another that is elusive and variable, perhaps too attuned to the fluctuations of public opinion. For voters, the dilemma becomes not just about choosing the policies they agree with, but deciding whether they prefer a leader whose stance they might dislike but can predict, or one who provides no such assurance, leaving them perpetually uncertain about his true intentions and future actions. As America stands at this crossroads, the essence of leadership is under scrutiny, between a straightforward executor who alienates as easily as he appeals and a political chameleon whose colors change so often that the true hue of his leadership remains a mystery. I guess I should have differentiated between Hillary Clinton, the lizard, and the chameleon, Joe Biden. I was talking about Joe Biden. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. We greatly appreciate it. You can find us weeknights at 7 p.m. If you like the show, do me a favor, stop by thedumbshow.com and go pick up a shirt, go pick up some coffee. You can watch it live. You can watch the recorded show, whatever you want to do. Either way, we love however you decide to participate. If you would also like to, 7 p.m. weeknights, we are live. You can find us on tv.spreely. We would appreciate it if you would stop by. My name is Matthew Spear. I have been your host. Stop by and read this article and share it on thedumbnews.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.